It's Xandra the Xplorer. As an explorer of shadows and a shifter of fucked up paradigms, I dive into the depths that others fear to tread. I illuminate the unseen and I demand authentic transformation. And in today's episode, I would like to dive into and uncover the shadow behind niceness. When people are nice to us, we consider them to be good people. Niceness equates to a good person. So if someone is not nice or you're not being nice, then you feel ashamed. You feel like you're a bad person. But I'd really like to bust down the paradigm of niceness and how niceness means you're good. And you know why? Because so often when someone is nice, they're not a threat to us. So if someone's not a threat to us, then that automatically makes them a good person because they're not someone that we have to contend with. So niceness often wears the costume of goodness, often while betraying the truth inside. We grew up learning that being nice equaled being safe, that being nice and being liked equaled being accepted. That if we smile enough, that if we soften enough, that if we don't ask for too much, then we will belong. But you see, for many of us, the problem inherent within this is that niceness often becomes a mask, a survival strategy. Niceness becomes a strategy to meet an unmet need. It becomes the means by which we feel protected and valued, or welcomed and accepted in our fullness. This is especially true if in childhood or our younger years, we have battled with the sense of shame within ourselves. It's especially true if it was communicated to us that we were too much in some way, that that our truth was too much for someone else in some way. And so that initiated this feeling of shame, and this sense of shame in childhood can take on the makeup of our identity. And what happens when this occurs? Our sense of survival is threatened. We no longer feel accepted, welcomed, embraced, or valued. We don't feel protected. We don't feel like we belong. And so we adapted. And thus the people pleaser was born. We became pleasant instead of honest. We dimmed our wild edges, our anger, our passion. We learned to please, appease, defer, and tragically we confused self-erasure for maturity. This shadow of niceness is rooted in a deeper wound, the wound that says, I do not inherently deserve to have a voice. I don't deserve to have belonging. I don't deserve to have space or hold space or to be held. I simply don't really even deserve to exist here without earning it through compliance. This belief usually comes about through environments where conflict was dangerous or punishable. Speaking your truth led to shame, silence, or isolation. One's emotional reality was taught that it was not safe. In other words, one was taught that their emotional reality was unsafe, or one was shown that their emotional reality was rejected, minimized, or made wrong, or where love was conditional and love was only given if it were earned. This can especially be true if the way through which love was earned was through emotional caretaking. Example being, you were the one who had to be the emotional caretaker, and this earned you love. Or even obedience, that if you were obedient, then you were shown value, love, and acceptance. When we are nice at the cost of our truth, we are not being harmless, but we are being dishonest and deceptive with ourselves. This is not to shame, but this is to highlight that this can cause more damage within the self. unspoken beneath the smile, and the niceness is often sentiments such as this: please don't leave me. Please don't be upset with me. Please don't reject me. Please don't deny me belonging. Please don't see me as too difficult. Please don't see me as someone that isn't worthy of being embraced and loved. In the face of these deep-seated fears, we compromise instead of express in a healthy way. But in order to, side note, in order to learn how to express in a healthy way, we first need to understand that our true self-expression, no matter which way it comes forth, is acceptable as being authentic and not something to be ashamed of. True self-expression in a healthy and fulfilled and authentic manner can't even really be learned within the parameters of things like guilt and shame and self-questioning. This has been a big one for me, being the nice girl, the appeaser, the people pleaser. And through my experience with this, I have been learning a lot about the shadow and where this comes from, and how this is not authentic and true to my truth. And I am not the only one. And so I would like to share the soul truths that we must reclaim. You do not need to be agreeable to be lovable. In the light of true love, you do not need to be agreeable. That is, in the light of true love. You don't need to be soft in order to be safe. That is, emotionally safe, mentally safe, physically safe. And you do not need to abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. Niceness becomes a prison when it silences the true voice inside. Discernment, on the other hand, where in discernment you might withhold certain things you want to say or certain forms of expression, but that when it's coming from discernment, it's coming from wisdom and truth. Discernment is wise. Niceness may not always be so nice. And the same with kindness. Kindness comes from a place of truth. Authentic kindness comes from a place of truth, not a place of survival or manipulation for the purpose of surviving in some way, shape, or form. Kindness is rooted in sovereignty, and niceness is rooted often in a sense of defeat. Kindness is the compassion of someone who steps forward from a place of clarity, not from fear. To conclude this episode, let me throw out a few questions through which you can do some self-reflection. When is it that you first learned that being nice would get you further than being honest? What social or emotional risks have you been avoiding by being agreeable? What do you honestly imagine would happen if you stopped the performance of niceness? And who are you authentically when you don't feel the need to be nice? And can you begin to define kindness in your life, not by tone of voice, but by truthfulness? Say this with me. I release the need to earn love through self-erasure. I am not here to be nice. I am here to be real. Thank you for being here with me, for listening to these important episodes, and I encourage you to be brave and explore.